Welcome to QDL. QDL is your look at who and what is making news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest. And today we're going to talk a little bit about overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, what it is and a tool that can help you get a handle on it, even on your older equipment. So just briefly, and I think I'll get this right and we'll make sure here in a little bit, overall equipment effectiveness is the percentage of available manufacturing time that is truly productive. You're cranking out good parts. You want to be producing as many good parts as possible, as quickly as possible, with little or no idle time in your process or in your equipment. And ideally, although it's pretty much impossible, you want all your machines running full-time during scheduled production hours, just cranking out those good parts. Today we have with us Lauren Dunford, CEO of Guidewheel, a leader in cloud-powered factory ops. Guidewheel helps factories around the world to digitize their operations to reach sustainable peak performance. Lauren, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Dirk. Great to be here.
Hey, great. So did I kind of basically get that right, what OEE is?
I think you just nailed it. Yeah, OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. It's are your machines running when they should be, producing at the speed you want them to, and producing output of a quality you can sell.
And why is it important? Why do people care about OEE?
Yeah, it's pretty much the gold standard, like you said, in terms of measuring your productivity on the plant floor. So each of those components not only sums into this gold standard metric, where typically a great plant will be at somewhere around 85% OEE, but lots of plants out there are much closer to 60%. So there's typically, a difference there that lets you see where there's opportunity to improve. And what's exciting about OEE is you not only see that there's an overall opportunity to improve, but you've got whether it's that availability, performance, or quality piece, that's that greatest area for improvement.
And so if your equipment isn't running, like you said, it's running 65% of the time instead of 85 or 90% of the time, you're basically leaving money on the table, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's, throughput you could be getting, product you could be selling, revenue you could be bringing in from your existing equipment. So it's definitely getting that back goes straight to the bottom line, and not getting it is a loss in profit.
So how is OEE typically measured? I mean, particularly on older equipment that may not have sensors and all that kind of stuff that report back to some sort of central computing system.
Yeah, it's tough. You've got those three components. Newer equipment might have all the bells and whistles you could want to track all of that automatically, but very few plants have all brand new equipment of exactly the same make, model, and age. Most plants bring together a patchwork of different types of equipment, different models. And the reason for that is, because your equipment is expensive, there's never one year where you toss it all out and replace it all. Instead, you buy a new machine if one breaks. You buy a new machine if you need to add capacity. And so you've got different machines, which makes it really hard to track OEE in real time for many plants. So often what folks are doing is, even if they have data automatically tracked on some of those machines, if it lives in silos on the plant floor, they're sending someone out to record that information either on a clipboard or Excel or into an ERP, and they're often gathering that OEE information after the fact. Sometimes when it's a little too late to actually intervene and make a difference.
So they're literally going out there, is this machine running, is this machine running, what time is it, that sort of thing, right?
Exactly. So, we have some factories in the world that have every piece of, bell and whistle detail that, they're tracking everything every moment, but those are really, 1% of factories that have all of the visibility they could ever want. Most folks are stuck in that world of, after the fact, either they're going out there with a stopwatch for availability, recording quality and good parts for, the P and the Q portion, or they're actually just not measuring it on a day-to-day basis. They're measuring it on a weekly or a monthly basis.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Guidewheel and what Guidewheel does. I mean, my understanding is basically, it's pretty simple. You attach a current sensor to the machine to measure whether it's running or not, or maybe how much power it's drawing, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So Guidewheel is plug and play factory ops. So what we've really tried to do is narrow in on what are the very low lift, high return things that can really help plants move the needle on OEE. And typically of those pieces, availability, performance, and quality, the first and most important low-hanging fruit for impact is in, are my machines running when they should be? Am I reducing unplanned downtime? Because not only are you losing that time you could be running, but also if machines are going up and down and it's unplanned downtime all the time, you've got impact on quality from that.
Right.
And an impact on your team from constantly firefighting. So we start with that availability portion. Use really simple clip-on sensors to get the heartbeat of any machine. Doesn't have to have a PLC, it could be very old, could be very new. Get all of that consistently in and focus on that runtime availability portion of OEE first and layer on performance and quality on top.
You guys sent me a slide here. I'm just going to pop that up real quick. Okay, so what I see, it looks like across the bottom is time, right? And then, so on the x-axis is time of day, and what the left axis looks like it's power, kilowatts I'm seeing there. So this is basically showing me that the machine is on, then it's turned off for a little bit, then it's on, then it's off a little bit.
Yeah, and you can also see where it's going red and yellow. Red is truly off, yellow is idling. And really what this is building off of is that simple truth that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what type of machine it is, probably has a power cord. So if you can use the current draw, we clip around that power cord and use when it's drawing current as a way of seeing in real time when that machine is running on load, dry running or idle like you see in the yellow, or off like red. So green, yellow, red gives you a simple sense of where there is that unplanned downtime and lets you layer on top of that performance, quality, reasons for unplanned downtime, all of that other information on top of an automatic heartbeat from every machine.
Okay, so what else does it tell you besides just the machine is running or not? I mean, I guess one thing that comes to my mind is if you start seeing the current increase, that might be an indication that maybe you have a motor going out or bearing problems or something like that, that maybe maintenance needs to be looked at. Is that part of it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's so much you can actually know about machine health from that second by second pattern. Just like you said, if you have a motor that's starting to work harder to produce the same output, the system can automatically send an alert for that to the right person at the right time, layer on context about who's responded, who hasn't, what that reason was, how many hours it's been, since that last maintenance event, all the things that you might care about in terms of machine health. Also very much possible in addition to that operational processing.
And you can set alarms or that type of thing as well? Okay.
Yeah, so really it's kind of plug and play factory ops. And what we think about with factory ops is, how do we get that real-time single source of truth for each piece of equipment and then turn that into a connected and learning system. So the system itself is cloud-based, so getting better and better all the time based on what it's learning, not just from the machines in one plant, but across all the machines and all the plants anonymously.
Well, I was going to say,
it's smarter. Yeah.
Can you group, because I'm just thinking of all these, having come from a factory floor myself, so can you group equipment? So you can say, I want to see what the total consumption is or the total OEE is for multiple machines, maybe a department, for instance.
Absolutely. So the neat thing about it being cloud-based is it's really easy to see and kind of slice and dice the system to support in the ways that are helpful to you. So for example, if you have 10 plants and you want to see them geographically, very easy to divide up by region and see how progress is across the regions, have a little healthy competition across those plants. Just as easy to look at, say you have extrusion blow molding as an area where you've got a couple of different plants that have that type of platform, looking at that type of platform and benchmarking across those different regions, also very simple. And comparing that to your different types of platforms and machines. It's really, because it's cloud-based, empowering your team to look across geographies much more easily and benchmark against what's typical for this type of process, what's typical for the past, and really maximize that OEE.
Can you bring in other types of sensors into Guidewheel so that somebody goes, well, I'm not only doing I want to monitor current, that's great, but I also happen to have, some sort of line sensor that's, detecting whether parts are coming out or whatever. I don't know what it might be.
Yeah, great question. Right now, we focus people primarily first on the low-hanging fruit for availability, with that current as the easy way of tracking machine runtime, downtime, idle time. But over time, we've got already ways of bringing in lots of different pieces of context from the plant floor.
Okay.
And the goal is to, as long as we can make it plug and play, we don't want this to become a nightmare project where it's all something that takes consultants and years. This is all clip-on, easy to go. Adding in those sensors is something that we're really excited about over time as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So are you, as you're hearing from your customers on this, what kind of value are they seeing and what are they reporting back to you in terms of what they're getting out of it?
I mean, this is the most fun part. Hearing from customers, we started, I was hearing yesterday about a customer that had started at the low 60% in terms of that runtime of their machines. So running about 60% of the time, which was below what they had targeted. They're now in the low 80s.
Okay.
So a huge improvement from 60% to 80% in terms of runtime. Huge amounts more throughput and revenue coming in from that same exact equipment base.
And this is basically just because of visibility. In other words, because they can see it, now they can go, oh, well, we've obviously got a problem here. What is it? And then they go out and look into it, right?
Exactly. It starts with the visibility, and it's all of the connected system on top of that. So it's at its core looking together and sharing a source of truth about every machine, every shift. What was it doing and why? With that downtime reason or code having been added by the floor as well.
Okay.
And then also the alerts portion. So the system doesn't have to just be something that people look at statically. It can proactively reach out with the right alerts, reports at the right time and escalate to the right people as well.
Is there a limit to how many inputs you can put into it?
No, I mean, that's the amazing thing about, cloud-based systems is it is totally modular. So you can just as easily start with a couple of machines as you can scale up to 400, 500, 1,000 plus. And the system makes it easy. You don't want to see 1,000 things at once.
Right, sure.
So it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Also to drill down and have the right people seeing the right portions rolled up at the right level. We have a saying that a mountain of data is completely worthless if it doesn't translate into results on the ground.
Right.
And so the nice thing about a connected system that's kind of actively improving is it gets better and better at showing you the things that will help empower your team to drive those results.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting product. Really appreciate you being on the show. This was Lauren Dunford, CEO of Guidewheel. We do have a link to Guidewheel underneath the player page down there, so click on that and go out and take a look at what they're doing. I believe you actually even have a demo available, if I remember right.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right. Lauren, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Dirk, thanks so much. What a pleasure. Love the great questions.
Okay, awesome. And that is it for today's show. If you have any other guests or topics you'd like us to bring on the show, just let us know. Email us at qdl@qualitydigest.com, and we will do our best to make that happen. Thanks for joining us today on QDL, and we will see you at the next one. So long.